What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. If you've been here before, I'm NeonMushroom, and today we're playing this deck at the Pandemonium Premodern Fall Series, number 5, the final event leading into our championship for this series that's on November 22nd at Pandemonium Games and Hobbies at noon Eastern Standard Time if you're anywhere near the area and want to come play. This is 5-color tribe spec or simply about face combo, and if you don't know how this deck works, I would recommend starting this series from the beginning, which is round 1 of this event where I explain the deck in further detail. But just in case you need a tiny refresher, all we're doing is playing the card Tireless Tribe, who you can discard a card to give it +0/+4, and then the card About Face, who swaps the power and toughness of a creature. Easy maths is 4 times 5 is 20, so you can make this a 121 by discarding 5 cards, and then use the last card in your hand to make it a 21/1 attacker as early as turn 2 and kill your opponent very quickly. The rest of the deck is a mid-range deck powered by the card Quiet Speculation, which is going to allow us to go get 3 flashback cards and put them directly into our graveyard for use on a later turn. Now our opponent today, Kyle, is playing Reanimator. This is the black-blue version with Careful Study, and the deck is exactly what it sounds like. He wants to put a giant creature in the graveyard, say Phantom Deshoba, and reanimate it with a reanimate spell like Reanimate. That's everything you should need to know. So let's hop into game number 1. Alright, getting into game 1, we're going to high roll to start, and I'm going to roll a 5. Spoiler alert, Kyle's about to win this die roll. Going into this matchup, some predictions. I know how it turns out, but just guessing how the matchup will generically go. I think this one's probably close, but I feel like I'm at least somewhat favored since I'm a Swords to Plowshares deck, which is just generically good against the Reanimator strategy. Now Kyle is on the play. Let's see if either of us keep. Looks like my hand looks great here. We're just missing Tireless Tribe for the combo, but our mana looks very good, and I believe I see a Mother of Runes and a Swords to Plowshares. Kyle's also keeping, and he leads on Underground River, paying a black and a life to play probably the best 1-drop in the deck, Putrid Imp, and he passes to me. We'll take a draw step, and I have to imagine, yeah, we're just going to lead on City of Brass, and is there any reason to not put this Mother of Runes into play? I don't think so. We get a Mother, and we're going to pass right back to Kyle, and this is Reanimator on 7, so I would be shocked if we don't see a Reanimate here. Looking at his hand, we're absolutely going to see some type of reanimation here. He'll play City of Brass as his land for turn, and I think a Chroma's the best bet, and it's pulled to the front. He's going to pitch it to his Putrid Imp, then tap for 2, losing 1 life probably for black, because I think Exhume is better than the Reanimate that I see at the front of his hand, and that's what he casts. Exhume lets both players bring back a creature from the graveyard. Kyle's going to choose a Chroma, and strategically, I have 0 creatures in my bin. Then Kyle swings for 7 with the Putrid Imp and the Acroma and passes to me. I'll take a draw for turn. It's another Swords. This is going to be quite good for us here. The Acroma, very strong, but just dies to Swords like anything else will. It does not have Shroud. He does have some Shroud threats in his deck. This just isn't one of them, and I'm going to main phase this Swords. Something worth noting, this may have been a little bit preemptive for me. I probably should have waited just in case Kyle has another Acroma, because if he did, now I can reanimate it. Luckily, he doesn't have that in his hand, but that's something that could have come up. Kyle also gains a ton of life, so when I attack for 1, Kyle drops down to like 23, which is an incredibly high life total. He's going to pitch a card to the Putrid Imp. It is a Warwick's Bladewing. Then he's tapping for 1. He's going to pay another life, and it looks like we're going to see the Reanimate. So he's going to pay that life that he gained off the Acroma right away. But I do have a second Swords, which I believe is my first draw for turn. So he's going to get busy, but I tell him before damage, I'm going to Swords that Warwick's, which is just so good for us. Now, I did see his hand earlier. I think he might have almost all the pieces. Yep, he just needs a Reanimate spell. He has a Phantom Deshoba and a way to discard it in play. So that's going to be quite poor if he top decks a Reanimate spell. We're going to hope to fade that. We're going to play a land, tap for 2. Our life total already quite low, dropping down to 9 in order to play, is it a Quiet Spec? It is. We're going to cast Quiet Speculation and go hunting in our library for 3 cards with flashback. We're going to get Roar of the Worm, Deep Analysis, and the last one will be Call of the Herd. Just a couple bodies, kind of hoping that Kyle doesn't have any more gas in the tank and we can turn the corner from here, since that Putrid Imp currently represents a 9-turn clock, which is not very fast. After that, we'll pass the turn back to Kyle, who's going to take a draw for turn, and he rips the Exhume, which means I think this is a pretty streamlined play from Kyle. He's going to, looks like he's reading some of the cards in my graveyard from the Quiet Spec, and then he pitches the Phantom Deshoba, and he taps for 2. Oh no, he's probably checking to make sure I didn't have a creature for this Exhume, because I think that's what he's going to try to resolve here. There's the Exhume. I do have the Careful Study, the Circular Logic, but I don't have a way to madness it, so this just happens, and now he has a 7/7 Trampler, and I am at 9 life, which is not great. He's attacking with the Putrid Imp, and he discarded to it, so I can't block it, so I'm dropping down to 8, and he passes to me. I'll take a draw for turn. Looks like it's a Quiet Spec. I believe in my hand there, we naturally have access to Prismatic Strands, which means we can actually fade 2 attacks from the Phantom Deshoba, which should be quite good. He's going to tap his City of Brass for a color. Is this going to be a hand disruption spell? He's finally back down to 20 life. And yeah, that's Cabal Therapy. I wonder if we even interact. We don't. We show him the entire hand of Prismatic Strands, About Face, Quiet Speculation, and Circular Logic. The name on that Cabal Therapy happened to be Swords to Plowshares, and he did miss. So he's going to play another Putrid Imp, it looks like, sacrifice it, and this Cabal Therapy is going to hit. I would be surprised if I didn't respond right away with the Prismatic Strands, and that is exactly what I'm doing. I tap for 3, I'm going to lose a life because I unfortunately have to tap the City of Brass, and we're going to just hardcast the Prismatic Strands. Likely just naming green or white doesn't really matter. We just don't want that Phantom Neshoba to deal damage to us. After that, he still gets to pick a card that he knows I have, so he's going to get the Circular Logic, and he decides not to attack here, which I think makes sense. He didn't discard to the Putrid Imp, so I could just block it and give my Mother of Runes protection from black, which would not be good for him. Looks like we're tapping for 2. Are we going to flashback Deep Analysis? Yeah, it looks like it. Going to the graveyard, there's only one thing that costs 2 in there. So we flashback Deep Analysis, dropping to 3, which is very low. And our hand contains 2 counterspells. That land we just played, About Face and Quiet Spec. It's not looking super good for us, but we do have one more flashback of the Prismatic Strands, which could be quite good. He's going to attack for 7. And I think we just have to go for it. We're going to have to burn that right now. Yep. Tap Mother of Runes, flashback Prismatic Strands, name either green or white. Same thing here. It really doesn't matter which one we choose. And that's going to effectively fog the Phantom Neshoba. After that, he passes to me, and I have 1 top deck to dig myself out of this. And I don't think that's it. It's a City of Brass. Am I going to continue to play this game? It doesn't look like it. I'm picking my cards up. All right, Kyle gets this real good. Game 1. Let's go ahead and look at what we got for sideboard. Okay, before getting into game 2, we got to do some sideboarding, and our sideboard does go fairly deep for this matchup. We're going to bring in 6 and remove 6, and we'll start with what we're taking out. We're going to remove 1 Volcanic Spray. Pretty self-explanatory, has almost no text in the matchup. Just not interested in having it in my hand, and I'm never going to want to cast Quiet Speculation for the Volcanic Spray. We're going to cut a Mother of Runes. It's not that we're not interested in using Mother to convert lethal as soon as possible, but this matchup's going to demand we have a ton of interaction, so I don't want to overdraw on cards like Mom. We're going to take out a Roar of the Worm. We can't really cast the front half of Roar of the Worm in any matchup because it's 7 mana, and flashing it back for 4 mana to make a 4 mana 6/6 is just not going to cut it versus the types of creatures that Kyle's putting into play. We're going to remove 1 Circular Logic. I'm not super interested in having multiple copies because of Cabal Therapy, and Counter Magic typically doesn't play super well into decks that have access to both Cabal Therapy and Duress anyway. We're going to remove 1 About Face. Again, just like the Mom, I'm not super interested in leveraging the combo going into game 2. I want to make sure I'm interacting. If I can stretch the game out long enough, I'm probably going to win. And then finally, I'm going to take out a Glory. Using Glory to give my creatures protection from a color is going to be quite mana intensive, and I don't think that's something we're going to have time for in game 2. As far as what we're bringing in, it's actually pretty easy. We're going to bring in 1 Tormod Crypt. We're playing against Reanimator, and here's a 0 mana way to interact with their game plan. It's going to be quite good. For the same reason, we'll bring in 2 Phyrexian Furnace. Not quite as good as Crypt if we're on the draw, but going into this game, we're actually on the play, so it's going to be fine. And in the mid game, the Furnace can replace itself if Kyle's plan starts to stall out. We're going to bring in 1 Disenchant. This one is less self-explanatory. Kyle does have the card Animate Dead, which is something that Disenchant's going to be very good against. But more importantly, I have a suspicion that Kyle sideboards into an Oath of Druids deck post-board in this matchup. So in addition to this Disenchant, we're going to bring in our single copy of Naturalize for the same exact reason. It's just a color-shifted version of the same exact effect. And then finally, for our 6th card, we're going to bring in a Reprisal, because everything that doesn't have Shroud, which is going to be everything but Iridescent Angel and Multani, is something that the Reprisal can just straight up take out. It's also white removal, so it's good against a Chroma, which is quite good. That's everything you gotta know, so let's go ahead and hop into game number 2. Alright, going into this next game, like I said earlier, we're not going to be aggressively looking for the combo hand. We just want to make sure we can interact with exactly what Kyle wants to do, since he is going to be firmly the beatdown in this matchup. Although, looking at this hand, I think we're supposed to keep, but we do have the combo. We do not have the gold land we need to enable it, but we also have a Swords to Plowshares, which should be quite good. Kyle's going to be looking for 6. He didn't like that 7, and can he keep it? Looking at it, it looks like he's got actually all the pieces he needs. I see a Careful Study, a Reanimate spell. I think I see a creature in there too. Not sure which one, but I saw a high converted mana cost. So I think he's keeping, and we're going to lead on Tireless Tribe and pass right back to Kyle, who takes a draw, and he's going to play City of Brass. I imagine he's just going to deploy that Careful Study straight away. He taps for, 1 blue, dropping down to 19, and he plays the Careful Study. He's going to draw 1, 2, and they're both Phantom Neshobas. And then, oh, I got a better look at that card. It is an Iridescent Angel, which I wonder if that's what he wants to reanimate. He does have the Lotus Petal, I'm also staring at a Dark Ritual and a Reanimate and an Exhume. He could do everything he wants right now. He's going to play the Dark Ritual, and then he's going to play Exhume, and he's going to get back, looks like the Iridescent Angel, because he's probably read me on Swords to Plowshares. He's got a mana left over, so if he wanted to, he could have reanimated the Phantom Neshoba as well. Maybe he's sweating the swords and he wants to wait to draw Cabal Therapy. I could see that being a defensible play. I'll play Wild Mongrel, and then I can't attack through that Iridescent Angel, who happens to have protection from everything. It's the original Progenitus. Now he's going to attack us for 1, 2, 3, 4. This clock is not very fast, unfortunately, for Kyle. I think we can race just a 4-4. However, he is going to reanimate. So this is something he could have done last turn. Maybe he either forgot. I thought maybe he was playing around swords by trying to draw into a Cabal Therapy, but he just did it this turn, and that, I think it just would have been better last turn. I would have struggled to get my Wild Mongrel into play. But that doesn't matter. We're going to the next turn, and I do have swords. Here comes a Gemstone Mine, so I also drew my red source, which could be good in a future turn. We're going to cast Swords to Plowshares. That's going to take out the Phantom Neshoba. It's also going to put Kyle back up to, what is that, 16, 17, 18 life? But we will attack for 1, 2, 3, and that's going to bring him down to 15, which is actually interesting, because next turn I think I might have lethal. Kyle's going to go to combat, attack for 4. That's going to bring me down to 12, and he's just passing straight back. So we'll take an untap and a draw for turn. We're going to head to combat, attack out. Oh, I remember this. When I was editing the images in, some people will notice this. This is going to drop Kyle down to 12, and I have 4 cards in hand with an about face. I could have actually about faced the tribe and then discarded 3 for exact lethal, and this is a huge punt on my part, because now Kyle's going to drop Duress. And then I'm going to Circular Logic the Duress by pitching it to my Wild Mongrel, making it into a black creature, and then casting it for its madness cost. But now I need Kyle to attack, and he actually doesn't attack. This Iridescent Angel, has protection from everything. So for me to actually kill Kyle, I have to attack with both creatures like I'm doing here, and he can't block the tribe, which he does do. So now we're in kind of a weird spot where we need to pitch the Windswept Heath to make the Tireless Tribe into a 1/5. And then we can just go to damage. Luckily, our clock is still pretty good here. Kyle's at 9, but we did whiff the combo. Do not be like me. Count your damage all the time. We're going to tap for 3, cast a Call of the Herd to get a 3/3 elephant. And this is still quite good here. Now Kyle's going to need a lot of stuff to go right in order to dig out of this, because we've got so much damage. We're just passing back to him, and he's passing right back to us. And I imagine we're just going to turn the whole team sideways, keep forcing him to block the Tireless Tribe, beating in for damage, and that's exactly what we do here. Kyle goes to blocks. But this time he's going to block the elephant, which I think is a mistake looking at the numbers. Yep. I'm going to tap for red. I'm going to about face the Tireless Tribe. I'm going to pitch 2. That's 9, 10, 11, 9 on its own is good enough. That's going to be us winning game 2. Let's get into game number 3. All right, going into game number 3, we're going to be on the draw, which is going to put us on the back foot, because the Reanimator deck has some lines where they'll be able to reanimate a creature on turn 1. And if it's something with Shroud, that means we can't swords it, and we haven't had a turn yet, so we couldn't deploy a Phyrexian Furnace or a Tormod's Crypt. That said, Kyle is going down looking for 6, and we're keeping our 7. I didn't get the perfect look at it, but it has a Swords to Plowshares, and a Wild Mongrel, Quiet Spec, yeah, and a Gold Source. So this is a solid hand. Kyle's going to ship 1, and it looks like we're going to start. Let's see if he can reanimate on turn 1. He'll play a Gemstone Mine, and he's going to put 3 counters on it, and are we doing anything with it, or are we just passing the turn? Looks like we're just passing the turn. I'll take a draw for turn. It's another Swords, which seems good here, but I don't like having duplicate copies of Swords to Plowshares when my opponent has access to Cabal Therapy, so that could be a little bit of a problem later on. Kyle plays Undiscovered Paradise and passes to us, which means this maybe was a bit of a loose keep from Kyle. He's unable to do anything. Usually this deck can kind of mulligan to 4 just to search for a way to put some action into play as quickly as possible. I'm going to play out that city, fetch with the Windswept Heath, and play Quiet Speculation before searching for my land so I can search all 4 targets at once. We get a basic Plains, Prismatic Strands, Rare Revelation, and a Deep Analysis. Opting to get no creatures, I just want to set up for some protection. That way I can weather the storm and win in the late game. Kyle does draw the thing he's missing, which is a way to put some of those creatures into the graveyard. It is a Putrid Imp. Does he have any way to reanimate right now? It doesn't look like he has any mana accelerants, so it'll pass to me. I'll take a draw for turn, and we draw an Arrogant Wurm. We're going to play a Forest, and it's Wild Mongrel time. Now, we don't have a counterspell in our hand in Circular Logic, so if Kyle goes to reanimate, we have to hope it's not something with Shroud, and I am staring at a Multani in his hand. He's going to play a City of Brass, discard that Multani we were just talking about, and it looks like he's tapping for 2. I think Life Death is the best reanimate spell, since I have a known Ray of Revelation in the bin to hit a Animate Dead. And he casts Death, targeting Multani, and this is a really interesting point in the game. Multani's power and toughness are going to be dictated by the number of cards in all players' hands. I have a creature that lets me pitch as many cards as I want at instant speed, so I kind of have a ton of agency over the size of this Multani. Kyle's going to get in for 1. We're going to size that Multani at an 8/8, and I'm going to drop down to 17, and he passes to me. I'm going to draw. That Multani will briefly become a 9/9, but it's a land, so I'll play a forest as my land for turn. And I'm going to get in with the Wild Mongrel, which looks like an insane attack because of the size of that Multani, but Kyle correctly deduces that I actually control the size of that Multani, so he takes the damage. I play a Tireless Tribe and pass back, holding up 3 mana with that Arrogant Wurm in my hand, which could be quite good. Now Kyle still has, he's got multiple, he does have to return that underground or Undiscovered Paradise as well, but he's got multiple Reanimates and a Reanimate target in his hand to go with this Putrid Imp. He's attacking with the Multani. It looks like I'm flashing back the Prismatic Strands, naming green. He's going to redeploy the Undiscovered Paradise, and are we going for a Reanimate here? It seems like it would be fine, although it would shrink the Multani, and he knows about the Ray, so he's just, those Animate Deads are actually pretty bad with that Ray of Revelation in the bin, and I'm going to Madness in this Arrogant Wurm, which is also quite good, because this Worm being a 4/4, Kyle has 4 cards in hand, so I can freely attack with this Worm even if he leaves the Multani untapped, because I can just size that thing down to being a 4/4 and trade my Worm with it. I'm going to play Phyrexian Furnace. I'm going to activate it immediately. This is probably the beginning of the end for Kyle unless he can find an Oath of Druids, because now we're just going to start beating face, and I think the way this plays out, we wind up winning the race most of the time. I attack for 6, he has no blocks, and he drops to 5, and then I'm going to lose a life, tap for 3 total, and it's Call of the Herd. The last 2 cards in my hand are kind of like Kyle's 2 cards in the 2 Animate Deads. It's 2 swords, and I can't use them to remove the Multani, so thankfully, it's not an Iridescent Angel, and we have play into the Multani anyway. Kyle's going to draw. He's going to play a Gemstone Mine, comes in with 3 counters. Don't worry about why you just saw me take money out of my wallet and hand it over. I promise that was a legitimate purchase. And then he passes to me. We're all on tap. I'll upkeep, and I'll take a draw for turn. That was a Circular Logic. I think that's got to put a nail in the coffin. I've got Graveyard Hate, counter spells, and I've got a Clock, which has just got to be so bad for Kyle. He's going to set up blocks as I full sended the whole team. And here's the play we were talking about. Kyle has 4 cards in hand, and now I'm going to start pitching cards to this Wild Mongrel. There's 1, 2, and then am I going to pitch the last card? That would let my Arrogant Wurm trade with Multani, and I'm going to do that. We pitched the last card, so we're going to kill the Putrid Imp. We're going to kill the Multani. Multani is going to kill my Arrogant Wurm, and we're going to get in for a grand total of 4 with the Tireless Tribe and the Elephant token. And Kyle does get to order his graveyard. I believe he remembers to in a moment because they both go to the bin at the same time. But he does not want that Multani to be the bottom card. That way he forces me to crack my Phyrexian Furnace. I flashback Deep Analysis, which is really good after deploying my whole hand. And then we just pass the turn back to Kyle, who is going to remember, hey, these went at the same time. I'd like Multani to be the top card. That way you have to crack your Furnace if you want to stop me from reanimating it. He'll take a draw for turn, and I think, yeah, he's just showing his cards at this point. I think he sees that he's all gassed out. I've got action for all of his Animate Deads. I didn't know while I was playing this game just how good the Ray of Revelation in my bin was. I definitely put that in there, not for Animate Dead, but for Oath of Druids, but it worked out for us anyway. This means that we are currently 2-2 in this little league we're playing, and we've got one more round for you. It's going to be round number 5, and I will spoil it right now for anyone who's interested. We're playing against someone you've definitely seen on this channel and a previous channel before, Wesley Peterson, and we actually got the pair up. He is 3-1 going into this round. He's playing Moneyball Black, so look forward to that. That is going to be part of the super drop that I do. That's going to be at the end of a video that combines this entire tournament into a long form video, because I know that some people really prefer watching an entire tournament at once. A lot of people are the same as me. We just enjoy turning on some video, putting it in the background, doing something else, multitasking, all that good stuff. So look forward to that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I will see you next time.